Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Jessica. Welcome to the class. Good afternoon. I think today there will be no network problem. Starting with the class. Yeah, I think we should start now. We are 3 in number. Yeah. So let us study now maternal pelvis and the fetal skull. Okay. Yeah. So first of all, I would like to tell you that maternal pelvis is also a cavity. It is a cylindrical in shape. Okay. So it is basically like this, cylindrical in cavity. This upper one is the inlet. This upper one is the inlet, and this lower one is the outlet, and in between is the cavity, bacha. Is it okay? Is it okay? Is it okay? Now similarly, here is our original pelvic cavity. As you can see, this is the inlet. You have to draw the circle just above the pubic symphysis, right? And this is the inlet. What is this pelvis which is above this? This is the false pelvis, which mainly consists of two LRs. Two LRs. Okay. Now type in the chat box. If the one LR is absent, then it is which pelvis? If one LR is absent, then it is which pelvis? If one LR is absent, one ala is absent, then it means that single ala is present. Yes, very good. Single ala is present. So you can remember it. Very good, Dr. Isra. In the last of here, it is negli written. In the single, last here, it is negli written. So, neglis pelvis. Okay. And if both the elas are absent, okay, then it is Robert pelvis. Robert pelvis. Okay. Now let us start it with this now. Now, as every shape, every has its own. Very good, Dr. Isra, Dr. Jessica. I would request all the other who are watching, please write down in the chat box. Questions will be coming from these sections only. Okay. So now every inlet has its own diameter. So this pelvic inlet has, and this is the antero-posterior diameter, right? This is the antero-posterior diameter. In the inlet, antero-posterior diameter are the most relevant one. Why? Because they are the shortest diameters. What is the another name of antero-posterior diameter? Write down in the chat box. The another name is conjugate diameters. Okay, conjugate diameters. Very good. The anterior posterior diameters, they are the most relevant inlet diameters. We will be only studying the relevant diameters. Okay, so, and the another name of it is, no, Dr. Isra, it is not diagonal conjugate, it is conjugate diameter. Okay, is it okay? They do have transverse diameter, they do have oblique diameters, but only we will be studying the conjugate diameters, right? There are three type of conjugate diameters. Okay, let us study what are the three types. First one is the anatomical or true conjugate. First one is the anatomical or true conjugate. What is anatomical or true conjugate? It starts from the upper border of the symphysis pubis and goes up till on the top of the sacral promontory. What is here? What is here? Just a minute. Hello? Live class. 2 घंटे. Okay. 2 घंटे. अभी start हुई. Okay. Okay. Is it okay? Now what is the conjugate diameter? Anatomical conjugate or true conjugate? They start from the upper border of the pubic symphysis. Okay. Dr. Arif, please write down upper border of the pubic symphysis up till the sacrum promontory. Okay. Now problem is this. Why there are so many conjugates? Problem is this, that we cannot measure this this anatomical and true conjugate. Okay, we cannot measure this. So what we can measure is, we can measure, see here, how we measure this conjugate. We put our finger on the lower border of pubic symphysis, lower border of the pubic symphysis up till sacral promontory. Yes, up till sacral promontory. So this we are measuring, and this is the diagonal conjugate we are measuring. Okay, there are high chances that this image is going to come in your exam. Okay, Questions on diagonal conjugate will come in your exam. Okay, so listen carefully. We measure it by the lower border of. So what is this? What is this? This is this diameter from the lower border of the symphysis pubis. Lower border. Yeah, it is right, beta. Dr. Isra, it is right. Symphysis pubis. Okay, is it okay? To the sacral promontory. So this blue one is, this blue, the one in blue color is, yes, write down, one in the blue color is diagonal conjugate. Now here it is not visible, but usually the pubic symphysis in the mid, it is elevated. In the mid, it is elevated. Okay, the pubic symphysis in the mid, it is elevated. So what is the diameter? This, from the mid part of the pubic symphysis to the sacral promontory. Which is that diameter? Please tell me. From the mid part of the sacral promontory to the, from the mid part of the pubic symphysis, from the mid part of the pubic symphysis, it is obstetrical diameter. Very good. The one which is in the red in color. The one which is in the red in color. Okay. So we have to measure up till sacral promontory. But if we start from upper border of the pubic symphysis, bacha, then it is anatomical or true conjugate. If we go down, it will be obstetric conjugate, and the lowermost one is the diagonal conjugate. Okay. Just take this question. This is from FMG 21. Just see this question. Very good, very good. Just take this question. Yes, very good. So the answer to this is obstetric conjugate. What is the mnemonic? What is the mnemonic? How you will remember? From down to up, it is DOTA. It is DOTA. As true conjugate means anatomical conjugate. So D stands for diagonal conjugate, O stands for obstetric conjugate, and T and A stands for or true or anatomical conjugate. DOTA. Okay. The one which can be measured is diagonal conjugate. The one which is smallest, this can be measured, and this is smallest. Okay. So the true ones, they are having no relevance. The one which is the actual conjugate, the true conjugate, is not having any relevance. Okay. Now can you tell me what are the different cavities? What are the different subcavities in the pelvic cavity? As I told you, between the inlet and between the outlet, there is cavity, pelvic cavity, right? I told you, between the inlet and outlet, there is cavity. right? So you can see here we have divided the pelvic cavity into subcavities. Okay, there are two planes which are further dividing it. This is known as plane of greatest dimension, and this is known as, just which is below it, plane of least dimension. Okay, plane of least dimension. Is it okay? Now, from where is plane of least dimension and greatest dimension? Just before the plane of inlet, it is plane of greatest dimension. Okay, so opposite S1 and S2, opposite S1 and S2 is okay, plane of, see, between S2 and S3, between S2 and S3 posteriorly, between S2 and S3 posteriorly, and here it is mid of pubic symphysis. Okay, then there is plane of least dimension. What is it? What is the plane of least dimension? It starts from lower border of the pubic symphysis and opposite between S5 and coccyx. Will you remember? Will you remember? It is very simple. There are two planes between the pelvic cavity, between the inlet and outlet. There are two planes which is dissecting the pelvic cavity into further subcavities. The upper one is the plane of greatest dimension, which is between S2 and S3, and the lower one. And what is this known as? Take this question. Please take this question. That is why we studied this topic in detail. Yes, Dr. Jessica, it is mid pelvis. So what is basically mid pelvis? Between plane of greatest dimension and plane of least dimension. Very good, very good, very good. Okay, that is mid pelvis. Between the plane of greatest dimension and plane of least dimension is the mid pelvis. Okay, now what is obstetric outlet? What is obstetric outlet? Can you tell me? Question can come on obstetric outlet. What is obstetric outlet? Cavity, or you can say subcavity between plane of least dimension and anatomical outlet. Is it clear? Is it clear? What is obstetric outlet? Please tell me. Please tell me what is this red in color? And what is this green in color? Please tell me what is red in color and yes, Dr. Isra, it is a subcavity. Obstetric outlet is a subcavity. Tell me, write down in the chat box, what do you understand by what is this red cavity and what is this green subcavity? Yes, red is outlet and green is mid pelvis. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good, Dr. Rakesh Patel. Let us start with now which is the most important diameter of the very good. Beta, Dr. Jessica, please write down obstetric outlet. Dr. Jessica, please write down obstetric outlet. It is very important. Okay. Pelvis is very favorite of NBE. Pelvis is very favorite of NB people. Dr. Jessica, it is not just outlet, it is obstetric outlet. Okay, let's start now. Which is the most important? Very good. Which is the most important diameter of the pelvic cavity? Which is the most important diameter of, very good, diameter of pelvic cavity? Can you tell me which is the most important diameter of the pelvic cavity? Yes. This interspinous diameter. Again, because it is the smallest diameter. Why? Because it is the smallest diameter. Okay? Because it is the smallest diameter. Very good, Dr. Jessica. It is interspinous diameter. The diameter between the ischial spine. These are the ischial spine. Ischial spine. Very good. What is the relevance of interspinous diameter? Can anybody tell me? What is the relevance of bacha interspinous diameter? This is the site where we say that the fetus head is at zero station. Okay? If the fetus head comes at the level of the ischial spine, then it means it is at the 0 station. This is where the external os is at this level. And number 3, it is where there is levator ani. Because levator ani is here, so internal rotation also occurs here. Okay? This is the relevance, bacha, of interspinous diameter. What is the relevance? Why this is the most important place in the pelvic cavity? Because it is the level where we say that if the fetus head comes at the level of the spine, we say that station is 0. Okay, we say that station is 0, right? And it is the level where external os is also there. It is the level where levator ani originates, because levator ani is responsible for the internal rotation. So it is also the site where levator and ani originates. Okay. It is the site where levator. Okay. Just take this question. Very good. Take this question. Very good, bacha. Take this question. Minus means above ischial spine. Plus means below ischial spine. And the number means no beta, Dr. Isra, it is C. It is B. Dr. Isra, it is B. Yeah, it is 1 centimeter. So minus sign means that it is above ischial spine. Okay. If the station is written minus, please focus here. Basic things are asked in FMG. Minus means above ischial spine. Plus means below ischial spine, and the number indicates how many centimeter it is below and up. Okay. Number means the centimeter. Okay. Now this is the pelvis outlet. Okay. Which is the most important diameter? The transverse diameter. Okay. Which is the most important diameter? It is the transverse diameter. It is checked by putting the fist there. It is checked by putting the fist there. Beta, it is in centimeter. Dr. Rakesh, it is in centimeter. Okay. Now, see here. Let us see the definition of contracted pelvis. Let us see the definition of contracted pelvis. Okay. So, which conjugate diameter we will take? Which conjugate diameter we will take? Conjugate diameter we will take? We will to define the contracted pelvis. Obviously, it will be obstetric conjugate, the smallest one. Smallest one. Right? If the obstetric conjugate is less than 10 centimeter. If the obstetric conjugate is less than 10 centimeter, it is, come on, speak out. Very good. It is contracted pelvis. If the interspinous diameter is less than 8 centimeter and outlet is less than 8 centimeter, this fist measurement is less than 8 centimeter, then it is contracted pelvis. Can you tell me what are the normal diameters? What are the normal diameters? Can you tell me? Normal obstetric conjugate is 10.5 centimeter. Okay. Normal interspinous diameter is Normal interspinous diameter is 10 centimeter and normal outlet is 11 centimeter. Very good, very good, very good. Right? So these are the normal diameters, but the contracted pelvis definition is also important. And what is the normal diagonal conjugate? What is the normal diagonal conjugate? Twelve to 12.5 centimeter. Okay, how we will get the obstetric conjugate? Because we cannot measure obstetric conjugate. How we will get the obstetric conjugate? Obstetric conjugate is equals to beta diagonal conjugate minus 1.5 centimeter. Is it okay? Yes, you have to subtract 1.5. Okay. Chalo, very good. Pelvis is completed. Pelvis is completed. Any query, write down in the chat box. Okay. Let us now study fetal skull. Let us study fetus skull. Fetus skull has different parts. Fetus skull has different parts. Fetus skull has different parts. Okay. The one which is below the supraorbital ridge is the one which is below the supraorbital ridge. Supraorbital ridge से जो below है, what we say it? Face. Below supraorbital ridge is face. What is brow? From supraorbital ridge to anterior fontanelle. Right? Brow is from supraorbital ridge, look into the camera, to the anterior fontanelle. In common language, it is the forehead. The brow is forehead. हाँ जी हाँ हाँ 1 hour. Done. Okay. So between the supraorbital ridge and the, and what is vertex? Between anterior fontanelle and posterior fontanelle. Okay, is the parts clear to everyone? Vertex is between the anterior fontanelle and posterior fontanelle. Now, what is presentation? What is definition of presentation? The part which is in the lower part of the uterus is presentation. What is presentation, bacha? The presentation is the part in the lower uterine segment. It can be cephalic, it can be breech. Is it okay? It can be cephalic, it can be breech. Okay. What is presenting part? The part of the presentation which we are feeling on PV. For example, see here, this, in all these cases, write down in the chat box, what is presentation? Write down in the chat box, in all these cases, what is presentation? What is presentation in all these 4 images? Presentation in all these 4 images is? What is the definition of presentation? Part of the fetus? No, Dr. Jessica, it is not vertex. No. Presentation means the part of the fetus which is in the lower uterine segment. Here everything is cephalic, right? So it is cephalic. No, Dr. Isra, I was just asking presentation. The presentation is cephalic. Okay. Now what is presenting part? The part of the cephalic, the part of the presentation which we are feeling on, the part of the, very good, the part of the presentation which we are feeling on PV. Where we will do PV? These are our 2 fingers. These are our 2 fingers. Right? Is it okay? So, what is the presenting part in the first? What is the presenting part in the first image? Can you tell me? What is the presenting part in the first image? Yes, in the 1 and 2, it is vertex because we are feeling in between the anterior and posterior fontanelle. Between anterior, very good, Dr. Isra, very good. Second one, the third one is brow. And the fourth one is face. Okay, very good. Perfect. Now what decides the presenting part? What decides the presenting part? Can you tell me? What decides the presenting part? Can you tell me? Attitude. The flexion angle. Okay, what decides the presenting part? The attitude. How much is the neck flexed? Look in the camera. How much is the neck flexed? How much is neck flexed? Is it okay? Yeah, very good. So it is also known as attitude. Okay, very good. Now you tell me how you identify anterior and posterior fontanelle. How you identify anterior or posterior fontanelle. Can you tell me how you identify anterior and posterior fontanelle? The posterior fontanelle is triangular in shape, and whereas the anterior fontanelle is quadrangular. Okay. Why it is quadrangular? Because in the front we have two frontal bones. Interior is quadrangular because anteriorly we have two frontal bones. Posterior fontanelle is triangular in shape because the posteriorly we have only occiput. We have only occiput. Occiput is flat. Okay. Now what is position? Can anybody tell me what is position? What is position of the head? What is the presenting part here? What is the presenting part here? Can anybody tell me what is the presenting part here? In all these images, what is the presenting part? What is the presenting part? It is vertex, right? Because you see in all these images, the fetus is flexed. Here in all the images, very good. In all these images, the fetus is in flexion position. So here, in every case, the presenting part will be vertex. Okay? Is it okay? Okay. Now, we have to describe what is... These are the different positions. Okay. So we have to know what is the position of the fetus, because some positions are easy for delivery and some positions aren't. So we have to choose a fixed point on the PV. On the PV we have to choose the fixed point that is known as denominator. What is denominator? The fixed point of a presenting part, because here we are talking about vertex. So the fixed point on the presenting part, so that we can tell the position. Okay, so that we can tell where the fetus is. Okay, which is the most common position? Expected question. Which is the most common position? Which is the most common position which is favorable for delivery? Left occiput anterior. Left occiput anterior is the most common position. Okay. So when occiput is in the interior, very good beta. When occiput is in the interior direction, okay. So you can see here, these are the favorable position. In the vertex position, what is the denominator? Occiput. Okay, occiput. So these are the anterior positions. Is it okay? Please take this question. Yes, the answer to this question is right occipito-posterior. Why? Because on the left side is sigmoid colon. This is PYQ of FMG. Because on the left side is, yes, please take this question. Yes, very good. Answer is vertex. So these are all the questions of FMG. See, they ask you such a basic concepts. Okay. In right occipito transverse, in left occipito, whenever there is written occipito word is used. It means the presenting part is vertex. Okay, it means the presenting part is vertex when they have used occipito. Okay, occipito when they have used the presenting part is. Please take this question. Answer is suboccipitobregmatic. So, NB people are very fond of asking fetal diameters. Okay, NB people are very fond of asking fetal diameters. You can see here. See, these both are vertex. Vertex. So you can see the diameters are suboccipitobrachmatic. Where is brachma located? Where is brachma located? Brachma is equals to anterior fontanelle. Okay? Is it okay? Is it okay? So if it is a well flexed head, then the diameter size is 9.5 centimeter. Yeah, very good. 9.5 centimeter or suboccipitobrachmatic in vertex or fully flexed position. Is it clear? Okay. In the brow it is maximum. In the brow it is maximum mento-vertical. This is the diameter and it is maximum. The largest diameter of the fetal head is brow. That is why we don't do normal delivery in brow. In the face or in the extended position, the diameter is again 9.5 submento-brachmatic. In the face presentation, it is again 9.5 submento-brachmatic. Is it okay? That because the engaging diameter is 9.5, so we can do the normal delivery in face presentation. Okay. What is the transverse diameter of the fetus? See in the camera. See, these are the bimastoid diameter. Right? As we go from behind the mastoid to up. Okay? As we go from behind the ears to up, the diameter increases. The diameter increases. Okay? Behind the ear is mastoid. Then above one is temporal. In this you have only to learn biparietal diameter. The biparietal diameter is 9.85 centimeter. And what is the relevance of this diameter? Engagement. Engagement of head occurs if biparietal diameter crosses inlet. If biparietal diameter crosses inlet. Is it okay? So name Three 9.5 centimeter fetal diameters. One is biparietal diameter, which is the transverse diameter. The another is suboccipito bragmatic, and the number 3 is submento bragmatic. Very good, very good, very good. Now let us discuss different type of pelvis. Again, very favorite of FNG. Okay, so these are the different type of pelvis. What is the shape of gynecoid pelvis? It is round pelvis. And this is the most common pelvis. Okay. What is the shape of android pelvis? Heart shaped. Okay. These are the shape of the inlets. Okay. Yeah, Dr. Isra, it is slight oval inlet. Very good. What is the shape of anthropoid pelvis? It is antero-posterior oval. These days they are giving images in the exam and asking you the pelvis type. Okay. And what is the shape of the platypoid? This is vertical oval or antero-posterior oval. Okay. And this is transverse oval or flat pelvis or flat pelvis. Is it clear? Now let us see the common questions which are asked. Right? This was about the shape of the pelvis. Now let us see what are the most common questions asked other than the shape. Okay? Just see here. What is the cause of in which pelvis the deep transverse arrest is common? The deep transverse arrest is common in which pelvis? Which pelvis is the most common cause of android? Is the most common cause of occiput posterior. Right? So these are the questions which they ask. Which is the most common cause of deep transverse arrest and which is the most common cause of occiput posterior? Is the occiput posterior. Okay. Now in the anthropoid pelvis, because it is antero-posteriorly a vertical oval. Antero-posteriorly it is a oval. So in this occipito, very good Dr. Rakesh, very good Dr. Isra. So just tell me, what is the conditions which are common in anthropoid pelvis? Whenever a prefix is written before the occiput posterior word, whenever the prefix is written, it means the answer is anthropoid pelvis. Persistent occipito-posterior or direct occipito-posterior, both is common in anthropoid pelvis. Is it okay? Is it okay? Is it okay? The platyploid pelvis is responsible for face and brow presentation. The platyploid pelvis is responsible for face and brow presentation. Take this question. No, beta, platyploid is not in rickets. In rickets, what is very good? Answer is anthropoid. Anthropoid is the answer. Very good, Dr. Jessica, Dr. Isra, very good. Answer is anthropoid, because manual rotation is not possible. So it means that it is the case of persistent occiput posterior. If manual rotation is not possible, it is a case of persistent occiput posterior. Is it clear? रानी खाना बना दे वैसे आधे घंटे से. Is it clear? Very good. It is anthropoid pelvis. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. That's it. Yesterday, Bishop score was left. Bishop score is very important for FMG. Favorite of the examiners. Okay, Bishop score. What is Bishop score? Before inducing. Yesterday we did induction of labor, right? Before inducing, we assess the cervical status. Is it okay? Before inducing the labor, we assess the cervical status. Okay, so what position it is cervix, whether normal delivery will occur or not. Okay, so Bishop's score is assessment of the cervical status. Okay, is the assessment of the cervical status. The four component here are all of cervix. All the four component are of cervix. Only the station is the component which is not of cervix. How you will remember? How you will remember? That station is also telling the cervical status. More the head comes down, more it puts the pressure on the cervix. See, cervix is like a rim. More the head comes down, more it puts the pressure on the cervix. So station is also taken as the component of Bishop's score. Okay. So the Bishop's score, another component is cervical station. Okay. How you will remember this four? How you will remember this four component? Delhi officers can Delhi officers have consistent posting on stations. Right? This is the mnemonic for it. Delhi officers have consistent postings on station. Because Delhi has its own government. Okay. D stands for dilatation. Officers stand for effacement. Consistency stands for consistency. Posting stands for position. And station stands for station. Please don't confuse yourself with have. Have से कुछ नहीं है. Okay. The total score is 13. It is normal delivery chances are high if the score is more than 6. If the score is more than 6, then chances of normal delivery are high, bacha. Okay. What is modified Bishop score? Instead of cervical effacement, if we take cervix length, then it is modified Bishop score. Okay. The most important component in this is of Bishop score is cervical dilatation. Is it clear? Is it clear? Yes, the position, the most common, what is position? Where the denominator is in the maternal pelvis. What is position? Where the denominator is in the maternal pelvis is the position. Okay? Okay, got it? So, the most common position is left occiput transverse. The most common position is left occiput transverse. The second most common position is left occiput anterior. Okay. The most common mal position is right occipito posterior. Done. These all are the 3 questions which have come previously. The most common position is left occipito transverse. The second most common position or the most common anterior position is left occipito anterior, and the most common mal position is right occipito posterior. Simple. Okay, what is how? Because it is favorable, beta. Transverse position is favorable for engagement of the fetal head. Is it okay? That is what I know here. No, LOT is more common. See, most common position is LOT. Most common anterior position is LOA. Most common posterior position or mal position is ROP. Is it clear? No, beta. ROP is most common. Is it clear? All the questions are clear? Okay. What is the cause of occipito posterior? The android pelvis. Okay. What is the cause of occipito posterior? Android pelvis. Right? What is there in the android pelvis? Listen carefully. The fore pelvis, or you can say the front pelvis, Didn't we study what was the shape of android pelvis? The shape of the android pelvis was heart shape. So the front pelvis is hello Dr. Rachna. The front pelvis is narrow, right? So the occiput is broad at, which is the broad part of the fetal head. Broad part of the fetal head. The broad part of the fetal head is, yes, the broad part of the fetal head is, please tell me, occiput. So the broad part of the fetal head goes in the yes. So in the android pelvis, the broad part of the fetal head goes in the broad part of the pelvis. Very good. So broad occiput goes in broad posterior pelvis. Is it clear? Will you remember what is the most common cause of occiput posterior? Android pelvis. Now please see what are the findings on the PA, per abdominal findings. What are the per abdominal findings? Please see. Okay, now this is occipito-anterior and this is occipito-posterior, right? Posterior, anterior. So the back is toward the mother back. The fetal back is toward the mother back. Whereas in the occipito-anterior, the back is anterior. So where the occiput is, in the same direction the back is. Is it okay? Now, you tell me where we feel the fetal heart rate is heard where? Where do we auscultate the fetal heart rate? Where there is back. At the back, just posterior to the heart. Fetal heart rate is present at back, just posterior to heart. So where does the heart lies? See, here is the heart. So where is the fetal heart rate auscultated? Here. Right? Fetal heart rate is auscultated in flanks. Fetal heart rate is auscultated in flanks. And in the case of occipito-posterior, fetal heart rate is auscultated between umbilicus, yes, and between the umbilicus and iliac spine. Is it clear? Is it clear? Fetal heart rate wala concept is clear? Very good. Okay. Now next is just before here is subumbilical flattening. Why there is subumbilical flattening? Why there is subumbilical flattening? Because in the occipito-posterior, in the midline is limbs, right? Subumbilical flattening is there. Why there is subumbilical flattening? Because in the midline, occiput or the back is posteriorly, whereas what is interior? Limbs are anterior. Okay. So as you can see here there is back. So here there is curved subumbilical. Is it clear? Okay. So these are the two findings change. Okay. What are the changes in during the labor? What are the changes during the labor? Please note the key points. Frequent filling of bladder and delayed engagement. Okay. Just listen some important points. In the occipito-posterior, the head of the fetus is deflexed. Okay. The head of the fetus is deflexed. In the occipito-posterior, beta, very important findings. Okay, very important for FMG. Occipito-posterior is very favorite. Okay. In occipito-posterior, there is frequent filling of the bladder and delayed engagement because the head is deflexed. Because in the occipito-posterior, the head is deflexed. Okay. Dr. Rachna, we will wind up all this thing in one page. We are just making our concept understandable. Okay. Loose hanging off because the head because there is delayed engagement, because the head is deflexed, so there is loose hanging of cervix and basement membrane. Just see in the camera here. Just see in the camera here. See, imagine that this is the fetal head. This is the fetal head. Okay. And this my hand is cervix. This my hand is cervix. And if I completely flex the head, see, now I am in occipito-posterior. This fetal head is in occipito-posterior position. Okay? Okay? So in occipito-posterior, front is cervix. In the front comes the cervix. So you can see here in the deflexed head, the cervix is not in touch. The cervix is not in touch because here anteriorly face is there. A lot of space is there. Okay. Now if I suppose that it is occipito anterior, then anteriorly there will be round occiput. So cervix will be in close touch. Are you getting this point? Are you getting this point? Please write down in the chat box. Okay. Okay. So now there is premature bearing down. Why is it so? There is premature bearing down. Why is it so? Because there is premature bearing down. Why is it so? Prolonged first stage and second stage. Why is it so? Can you tell me? Yes, Dr. Rachna. To change the deflexed head into... Yes, Dr. Rachna, please ask. To change the deflexed head into flex state, because delivery will only occur if the head is flexed. So there is premature bearing down, there is prolonged first stage and second stage. Okay. Yesterday we did in the stages of labor that beta, again simple thing. In Dr. Isra, in occipito-posterior, see here, in occipito-posterior, the nose is in front of, the face is in front of bladder, right? The face is in front of bladder, and this forehead, it gives the pressure. The forehead gives the pressure. Okay. The forehead presses it. Yeah, beta, there will be question. In the last of the class, there will be question. Okay. There will be questions in the last, Dr. Rachna. Questions have been asked. That is why we are discussing this topic near the exam. Is it okay? When we do PV, now the last question, when we do the PV, the anterior fontanelle is easily felt. Our fingers goes anteriorly. So in occipito-posterior, anterior fontanelle will be felt. Okay. This is the question of FMG. Please tell me which position is this. This is FMG question. See, this triangular fontanelle is posteriorly, right? So occiput is posterior. The one which is your left is the patient right. Your left is patient right. Is it okay? Yes. Okay. Now see here. This is right occipito-posterior position. Okay. Right occipito-posterior position. Okay. Now if the pelvis is gynecoid. If the pelvis is gynecoid. If the pelvis is gynecoid, then it means the pelvis shape is round, right? So this posterior fontanelle rotates and becomes anterior. Okay, in gynecoid pelvis, the posterior fontanelle rotates and become anterior, whereas in android pelvis, whereas in android pelvis, it becomes deep transverse. It becomes transverse. Are you seeing this? And then deep transverse arrest occurs. Is it okay? Whereas in occipito-posterior, there is back rotation. There is back rotation. Okay, there is back rotation. So, the posterior fontanelle goes into extreme posterior, direct occipito-posterior. In the anthropoid pelvis, it becomes direct occipito-posterior because the lateral walls are narrow in anthropoid pelvis. Because the lateral walls are narrow in anthropoid pelvis. Okay. So what happens in gynecoid pelvis? There is normal delivery. Okay. There is normal delivery. Whereas in android pelvis, deep transverse arrest occur and delivery is dependent on the station. If station is more than +2, we will apply forceps or vacuum. If the station is less than +2, we will go for cesarean. Okay? Okay? And in the direct occipito-posterior, there is face to pubis delivery. Is it clear? Is it clear? Now let us wind up this. Let us wind up this occipito-posterior. Infra-umbilical flattening. There is infra-umbilical flattening. These are the key words which will help you to diagnose. Dr. Rachna, I was having emergency. Please, can we wind up the session? I will post all the occipito-posterior questions in the Telegram channel. Okay? I will post you the video, beta. Okay? So what are the terms which will be given in the question and you have to recognize it? Infra-umbilical flattening, limbs toward the midline, fetal heart rate in the flanks, anterior shoulder away from the midline, head not engaged, first stage prolonged, posterior fontanelle felt easily. If any of this term is there in your question, it means it is a case of occipito-posterior. Most common question which is asked, management of occiput posterior. Management of occiput posterior. What is the answer? Dr. Rachna, what is the answer? Because in 90% of the cases, the pelvis is gynecoid. Yeah, because in 90% of the cases, the pelvis is gynecoid and normal delivery happens. Okay, so as I already told you, there will be no class for the 4 days now. We will see you in the next year. Happy New Year to all of you. Any queries, please post me. Dr. Rachna, I will post you questions and the video both. Any query, please ask. I was getting late for the journey. I have to stop it here. Yes, Dr. Rakesh, management is according to pelvis. But if they have not given you pelvis, then the answer is wait and watch. Okay? If they have not given you any pelvis, Dr. Rakesh, is it clear? If they have not given you the name of any pelvis, then the management is wait and watch. Thank you everyone. Thank you for being here. See you. Bye-bye.